Hi everyone, my name is beewithpaws, and this is the new form of media I'm trying out because I like doing new things. If you hear any chirping or squawking in the background, that is my budgie Alphonse. If y'all will remember, I am one half of the former furry podcast Unpaused. And by the way, I wanted to make it clear that nothing bad happened with the show. Crow and I are still friends, we still talk and hang out. We just didn't want to keep working with the podcasting medium itself. But last year, we did an anthrocon 2024 review on the show, so I wanted to do a anthrocon 2025 review just in a YouTube format this time. I apologize in advance if the quality of the audio or the quality of the video itself isn't great. This is my first YouTube video ever, so just bear with me. Anthrocon is an annual furry convention in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This year they put a cap on registration, so attendance was around 18,500 people, but still, that is a lot of people to just unleash upon a city for a weekend. This was my fourth time attending anthrocon, my first time being in 2017 as a kid, and then again from 2023 onwards as an adult. I'm fairly local, so I live around 45 minutes away, but I stayed at my boyfriend's house for the weekend, which was only 15 minutes away from the con, and that was amazing. On Thursday, July 3rd, I carpooled with my friend Sammy from Circus Goat Creations, or Vinny Goat on Instagram, and we got to the con center around noon. I heard that people were lining up as early as 9 a.m., which is wild, because registration didn't even open until closer to noon, and Thursday was pre-reg badge pickup only. So, I'm disabled, and I have to wear my knee braces every single day, but I also made sure to bring my cane for extra support, just because I wasn't sure how long I'd be standing for. We also ended up having to park a couple blocks away, instead of at the lot right next to the convention center, because it was full. Thankfully, once we got to the convention center, staff members were able to direct me to the ADA line, and we were in and out of there in less than 15 minutes. It was absolutely amazing. They didn't have ADA badge stickers or different badges or lanyards or whatever, but the very sparkly person giving us our badges was very firm that it was a work in progress with the con. And something else that I noticed that was awesome was the convention had the two streets under the con center blocked off completely, so they used that space for the snaking line for registration so that people were able to wait in the shade and they didn't have to be in the hot sun, which I really appreciated. I also heard from other people who went through the regular line on Thursday that it went by very efficiently and that the staff did an amazing job. Because of that, a lot of people, including myself, were able to suit afterwards and enjoy the rest of our day without, like myself, being in egregious pain or being stuck in line con all day. Sammy and I then went back to my car and grabbed our suits, which we had only left in there for not even half an hour. And I specify that because I heard a lot of horror stories of people leaving their suits in hot cars during the con, which then caused the fur to melt and certain types of bases to warp, essentially ruining their fursuits. Sammy suited up in her full suit of Vinny the Goat, and I partialed in my hyena kaiju, Fuji. He is so pretty. This is his first con. I took him to 2 fur bowls previously, but this was his first, big outing, and I had a blast. I just adore this suit. We were there from around noon to around 6 p.m., and then we left because I had to do some running around before crashing at my boyfriend's house for the weekend with our bird. I didn't go to the raves Thursday night since I wanted to conserve some of my energy for the rest of the weekend, and especially because Friday, July 4th was a super busy day for me. Because I was driving by myself for the rest of the con, I got there around 10:30 a.m. and I parked at the lot right next to the convention center. For event weekends like that, I think it's normally $15, which I didn't mind paying just because I am disabled and having the convenience of the shorter walk to the parking lot is a big deal for me. But on Thursday, because that lot was full, we parked at one that was a couple blocks away and it was only $10, so it's up to you if you'd rather fork over the extra $5 for the convenience, or if you're fine walking, it's just up to preference. I partialed in Olive for the beginning of the day so I wouldn't wear myself out super quickly. First things first, of course, I wanted to go check out the dealer's den. I saw that there was a really long line leading to a big room with multiple long lines within it that would funnel into the dealer's den whenever it opened at noon. But I obviously didn't want to wait in that. So I went back out, and then I saw that they opened up all of the regular doors to the dealer's den anyways, so I feel like most of the people waiting in that line in the room would be waiting for literally no reason, because they wouldn't know that all of the other doors opened, and you don't, like, I don't know what that was about. I know that they let sponsors and super sponsors and like higher tiers of badges in sooner, but I don't know what that whole thing was about. The dealer's den was organized really well, in my opinion. Instead of the artist's alley being off to the side with less foot traffic like it was last year, they put them right in the middle of all of the normal vendors, which I really appreciated. I personally didn't go into the 18 plus curtained off section since I figured it wouldn't interest me, so I personally can't attest to how thorough their ID checking was or how well it was organized in there. But the one thing that I didn't like was that I noticed quite a few vendors selling and advertising suggestive or NSFW art out in the open with very minimal censorship. This is an all-ages convention, so I feel like they should have tried a little harder to make their NSFW harder to access. And I'm very proud of myself. I stayed within my budget. Here's a picture of everything that I got at the con, so I'm skipping ahead quite a bit, but everything to the left here are things that I bought. So I got stickers, a sticker book finally, and I know I'm late to the sticker book train, okay? But I thought that buying a sticker book would just enable me to buy more stickers. And then I came to the realization that obviously I love collecting stickers, so I'm just gonna collect them anyways, and I might as well just have a better place to put them. And I also got a sick Hyena Agenda shirt and pin, but they're not in this picture because I was wearing them. So, very exciting. And of course, fursuit sprays. I love fursuit sprays. At 1:30, I had a kitty meetup, and I wasn't sure what to expect since this was the first ever species meet that I've ever been to. But there were a lot of us. Cats, cabbits, alien cats, tons of other hybrids. And it was really fun to go around and interact with everybody and just be big silly kitties. I hung out with some friends to kill time until I volunteered with the charity for anthrocon this year, Nose to Tails Cat Rescue. I full suited in my kitty suit Olive for their bucket brigade, so we walked all around the con space and collected donations. I think for the 35 minutes I was able to suit, we got around $50, plus the $25 that I donated to get a cute little kitty stuffed animal wearing a little shirt. I felt so bad though because I signed up to volunteer for a whole hour, but after 35 minutes, my fursuit fan died, and then even after taking a break in the headless lounge for 10 minutes, I was still in dangerous body temp territory. So I came up to the lady with my head off and I was like, hey, I'm the human underneath Olive because I'm non-speaking in Olive. And I was like, I explained the situation and she was super understanding and didn't mind at all. So I called it a day for suiting after that. I think overall, anthrocon raised around $87,000 for Nose to Tails this year, which is awesome. I know everyone says this, but remember to be taking showers minimum of once a day and carry extra deodorant on you at conventions. I normally get the little travel-sized Old Spice deodorants to keep in my bag when I'm fursuiting, and a little bottle of fursuit spray because they smell good and they're also a disinfectant. It was so hot and humid during anthrocon this year that I mostly opted to partial and especially poodle just for ventilation and heat related reasons. And I could not tell you how disgusting I felt after full suiting only for 4 hours maximum. It was awful. So as soon as I got home, I jumped in the shower and then disinfected my fursuit and washed all of my underclothes because it was just disgusting. So please have good hygiene because other people can tell when you don't. After showering, my boyfriend was so sweet and he made me dinner, so I got to hang out with him and our bird until I had to get ready for the raves. I left at like 8 p.m. or so with 2 armfuls of candy bracelets to trade, and I stopped down at the waterfront to kill some time until the rave started at 9. The waterfront is one of my favorite places to hang out during anthrocon because it is such a fun social environment. You go down there, there are people playing music, there are raves down there are people dancing, smoking, making bracelets, mingling. And as someone who loves to people watch and also just interact with people, it is so fun to hang out down there. It's also really pretty because you have the view of the river and the yellow bridges, Pittsburgh's bridges, and the lights. But it was getting kind of crowded, so I headed up to the rave, which from 9 to 10 was dad rock and Y2K nostalgia. So obviously I had to be there. And I quickly found some of my friends to dance with. The raves at anthrocon, every hour they change DJs which play different music, so you get to experience a lot of different kind of stuff. At the doors to the rave, they had staff checking badges, bags, and water bottles. You weren't allowed to bring bags over a certain size in, and every bag had to be checked with a flashlight. From what I saw, they opened up people's water bottles and smelled them to make sure it was water. But there also was water provided inside the raves, which was really nice. I was told later during the con that one of my disabled friends couldn't enter the rave because of the medical bag that they needed to have with them. That's absolutely ridiculous, and I want to know what the hell that was about. I think ADA badges or markers in any capacity would have been helpful in this circumstance, because then the staff checking the bags and letting people in would know that the con already approved this person's accommodations, and it's just absolutely ridiculous that they were not allowed in because of their medical equipment. Disabled people want to enjoy raves too, believe it or not. Okay, anthrocon, it just blows my mind, and if it sounds like I'm getting heated about it, it's because I am, and this is like the 15th time that I've recorded this specific segment because I keep getting really angry. So I'm just gonna leave it there and just know that I am upset about it, is all. Another thing for the raves and con in general is that it's gotten to the point where it's obvious that there needs to be a set time of the night where it's adults only. I saw a lot of very inappropriate outfits and physical conduct when there were minors present. And I know there were minors present because when I was trading candy bracelets, I interacted briefly with a handful of them. It's just, that's a whole conversation that needs to be had. I could go on, but anyways. Speaking of candy bracelets, I love trading candy bracelets, and it was honestly one of the highlights of my con. I love doing the hand transfer, and everyone else was really excited to do it too, especially in the rave setting. It's pretty much where you make a peace sign and you touch it to the other person's peace sign. You make a half a heart, touch it to the other person's half a heart, and then you intertwine your fingers and take a bracelet from your arm and slide it over both of your hands onto their arm, and then vice versa. And that's a really fun way to trade bracelets, and it's also a way to like slow down and actually interact with the other person because you're like connected there for a second. And it's just like super wholesome, and I love it. I got traded some really cool cuffs, and now I need to learn how to make cuffs because I only know how to do singlets, and suddenly like my mind is blown by the possibilities. Another thing that I was trading all weekend was stickers. I am a huge sticker fiend and I love collecting them, as you've seen. But I underestimated how many stickers I would go through, and by Saturday, I was pretty much already out of the adorable olive stickers that I brought. So I'm definitely reordering this design because I feel like everybody needs to have one. Anyways, I got home around midnight that night on Friday, and I was right back at the con center at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday, July 5th. Saturday was a very action-packed day for anthrocon, as it's when the fursuit parade and block party took place. Personally, I didn't directly attend either of those events, but I love to people watch, so I was around. So, the big drama around anthrocon's fursuit parade this year, as many of you are already aware, was that they implemented costume standards and required pre-approval to walk in the parade. Now, I saw a lot of misinformation spread about what the con had posted, which is what tends to happen when something gets a lot of backlash like that. The con said that for the fursuit parade, full suits were encouraged because if you partialed, you would need to coordinate an outfit to your suit that covers all of your human skin, aka no poodling. This upset a lot of people because it put a limit on creative expression and accessibility, which is a massive part of what the furry fandom stands for. Another thing was that you couldn't have a handler in the parade unless you were disabled or a minor, which sucks for anyone else who may have needed help or guidance. Another big point of drama with the parade was that, quote-unquote, somehow, a known neo-Nazi fursuiter named Crusader Cat, who is allegedly banned from anthrocon already, was able to, quote-unquote, sneak into the con and into the parade. He was able to sit in the waiting area for the parade lineup, and not a single staff member did anything to remove him. Personally, I don't think that it was an accident that he was able to get in, and if he is a banned individual, they should have been able to call the police and have him trespassed. Why wasn't he trespassed already? I'm not gonna get into it. I'm holding myself back. You all know how I feel about Nazis. I'm just gonna move on. I'm moving on. I partialed in Beetle and really dressed down, to be honest, because it was so hot and the humidity was so high that I couldn't bring myself to do all of my cool goth layering that I normally do, and I obviously could not bring myself to full suit, so I settled for shorts and an oversized black t-shirt and extra Old Spice deodorant, and that was good enough. Because I didn't go to the fursuit parade or the block party or anything, my Saturday was pretty much open until the evening time, so I got to hang out with a lot of my friends, and I had a blast running around the convention center. We had pictures taken, and then around dinner time, I headed back to my boyfriend's for dinner and a quick nap before the rave. My friend group and I bounced between the pup mosh and the raves, and it was awesome getting to pup and party with them. The pup mosh was an 18+ only event, and they always had someone at the door thoroughly checking IDs. I don't exactly remember when I got home that night, but I slept in until literally 1 p.m. on Sunday because I was so exhausted. I got ready, grabbed Olive's partial, and made it to the con center soon after. Sunday was a really chill day, just taking pictures and hanging out with my friends. I didn't go to the dead dog dance because I was the dead dog, but if I had more energy, I totally would have gone. It looked really fun. Overall, I had an amazing con experience this year. I had so much fun with new and old friends, had fun new experiences, and was able to get through the weekend smoothly. Before I end this video though, I wanted to go over some other points of contention and points of praise. I reached out to my friends and followers and asked what they noticed about the con, good or bad, so I would have a broader range of experiences. A lot of people said that some of the con staff they interacted with were rude and unempathetic. I understand that AC is a huge con, and I'm sure the staff and volunteers were stretched pretty thin during the weekend. But maintaining a good relationship between con staff and con goers is important for the longevity of the convention. People don't want to give their time and money to a con that staffs people who make con goers feel like they're unwanted or burdensome. Now, before you say anything, we both know how furries can be, but people mentioned this to me because it was all about medical issues. Someone was denied access to things for their blood sugar because they were diabetic. One of my friends was personally denied access to the rave because of their medical equipment. There was just like not enough accessibility, and that really showed. A big issue that I heard multiple accounts about was that for multiple 18 plus panels, no one was at the door checking IDs before entry. Apparently, they kicked everyone out of the panel rooms and made them stand in line to get in again, even though it was their fault that no one was at the door checking preemptively. And again, I think there needs to be a designated after dark time frame during the raves because children should not be seeing people in skin-tight latex kink suits with obvious zippers and private areas being led around on leashes. Granted, those people shouldn't be wearing that at an all-ages event even at 11 p.m., and even though in the rules it has a standard dress code, people very obviously don't listen to that. How to fix this? Make it 18 plus after a certain point, or a different rave, I don't know. Staff is already checking for badges at the doors, just have them also check for minors since their badges and IDs are different. Another random thing, I also heard that hotel shuttles were extremely slow, leading people to be stuck waiting outside in suit or forcing them to walk back to their hotels in the 90-degree heat and high humidity, or being stuck waiting outside for 45 minutes late at night for the shuttle to show up and feeling potentially unsafe because of that. So I don't know who is in charge of fixing that, but it's just something that I heard. Okay, moving on to things that I feel like anthrocon did well. I loved having Rita's ice in the con center. I love their cotton candy flavored shaved ice, and it's the most perfect way to cool down after fursuiting. Anthrocon is a massive convention, and I heard that a lot of people who were used to smaller furry cons got really overwhelmed. But personally, I love how much is going on constantly everywhere. There are people performing or playing music everywhere. There are so many hangout spots, panels and meetups happening all the time, and it's people watching heaven because people are way more interesting to look at when they're in giant fluffy animal costumes. The fandom and community is what make this con so great, but I think anthrocon does a good job at maintaining the con space and bridging that gap that allows us to connect the way that we do at cons. My favorite places to hang out were definitely the waterfront, like I said before. The rooftop and the balconies were really pretty. Simply sitting on the floor off to the side, anywhere people were hanging out or walking. There were a bunch of tables. There were just so many places to be and see things and experience things, and I just absolutely loved that. They did a really great job of giving us the space to do whatever we wanted, pretty much, like obviously within a respectful constraint. Now, what do I rate this con experience for me personally? I would rate it a 10 out of 10. Again, I had a wonderful time and I did everything that I set out to do. I met so many new people and I hung out with my mutuals, I went to the raves, I traded candy and stickers, I browsed the dealer's den for hours, and most importantly, I slowed down and focused on living in the moment. Do I think that anthrocon still has a lot of work to do? Yes, anthrocon isn't a perfect convention. I talked a lot about issues that the community had this year, and it's apparent that if AC doesn't listen earnestly to its congoers, more and more people are going to be turned off from making the trip. Like I said, it does a good job of fostering community, but a lot of T's need to be crossed and I's dotted before it's a really solid, safe convention for all of its attendees. Did you go to anthrocon this year or years prior? How was your experience? Let me know in the comments below. One thing I was really hesitant to mention was a lot of the safety concerns that people experienced while walking around downtown in Pittsburgh. I know that there was gunfire present, there was a lot of harassment from just like strange people in Pittsburgh, and the con itself has nothing to do with that, so I didn't really want to talk about it, but I feel like it's important to talk about also just because of the safety of our community, but also like I said, almost 19,000 people come to Pittsburgh, or come closer to Pittsburgh, to experience anthrocon, and the city sometimes doesn't know how to handle that. And I obviously am not a city defender. Like, I live 45 minutes away from Pittsburgh, and I personally don't like cities. They make me very anxious, so I only go to and fro, and I do not like to stay and meander. But I had a lot of friends who had scary experiences walking around in Pittsburgh, so I just wanted to mention it. A lot of the time, Pittsburgh does a great job at welcoming furries and making it a very safe and fun community to be around, but, you know, after dark shit gets weird, so I don't know. But anyways, thank you for watching my first YouTube video. I really appreciate it. If you have any tips or tricks for me, please leave them in the comments, because I am clueless. My next video is going to be about anime cons versus furry cons, because as I talked about in this video, I just attended Anthrocon, which is a furry convention, and July 17th through the 20th, I will be attending Techo, which is an anime convention at the exact same venue as Anthrocon. So I'm going to compare and contrast how the cons use the space, the size and everything, and also let you guys know how Techo went as a fursuiter. At the end of our unpaused podcast episodes, we would say that we bid you a woo, but I am a possum right now, so I don't know what to say. See ya!